For you people who have run Facebook ads in the past that have had some success with it, okay, so we've got some people who have run it but not been successful as well. Hopefully I'll be able to give you some useful tips that will help you out if you have done them and maybe want to get some better results. I'll share a little bit of the psychology behind what's working. But overall, we're definitely going to be diving into just a clear walkthrough here. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And we're just going to dive right into some how-to information for you guys. And there we go. Let me make sure I got the chat up in case I need to see anything in there. Perfect. Okay, cool. So here I am in the back end of the Facebook ads platform. When you log in and look at your Facebook ads, it may or may not look like this, but you should be able to see similar information when you're setting up an ad or when you're looking at your ads. I'm using business.facebook.com in order to manage this. If you don't have a business account set up, you don't necessarily need one, but it tends to be useful for having access to all the tools that are available. So for this style of campaign, this is specifically going to be done through Facebook's ads platform and not just by boosting a post. So it is like a step above what you're going to be able to do just by boosting a post. So keep that in mind. But to be able to see this and get access into this, you just go to business.facebook.com. And if you don't have a business account set up, it'll tell you to set one up. So I've already created this campaign, but when you go in and create your campaign, you'll see some of these options come up. So just keep that in mind. So first and foremost, the style of ad that we're going to be doing is what I call a property promotion campaign, or sometimes I call it a just listed campaign. And basically it revolves around the idea that in real estate, we are very lucky to have a product that people just enjoy looking at. That's not the case with every kind of product, but you know, the success of like HGTV and shows like House Hunters and you know, shoot, even if you think about like Cribs and all of these shows where all we're doing is we're diving into houses and showing houses, people like to have kind of a voyeuristic look at other people's homes. And so by featuring properties, showing pictures, showing cool houses, you know, especially as things, people just enjoy looking at them. So these ads tend to perform very well because your product itself is something that people like to see and like to look at. So we're gonna lean into that. We're gonna show homes. We're gonna show, you know, what makes them great, and then give people the opportunity to inquire for more information about them in some very specific tactical ways that get you more leads rather than. We're going to turn a dial so that we get more leads that may be a little bit less qualified, but that you'll still be able to, you know, ultimately prospect effectively. So in this style of campaign. And by the way, Gabe, feel free at any point, if there's like a question that comes in that you feel like would be worth, you know, interrupting my flow, you know, feel free to.
Yeah, no, interrupt. This has been great so far. So just to sum up how we got here, you've created a Facebook business page. You need that to run these ads. So if you correct. You cannot run Facebook ads for your own personal Facebook profile, even though, you know, to get friends or whatever. You need that business page. Once you have that business page, you just hop into the business center and you can start creating these ads.
Yes, and to be clear, for the business page itself, if you go to, I think it's facebook.com/pages/create, I'm pretty sure is the page that you go to start that. That's going to be where you're going to set up your Facebook business page. And we'll walk through a little bit about what you should think about in creating this. When you're just starting out, if you're a brand new agent, or even if you're just brand new to bringing yourself onto Facebook as a professional, you can build this out where it's in a lot of ways just a duplicate of your personal profile, where it's just your name, you're featuring your own picture, you're just basically creating a professional platform for yourself personally. If you happen to have something that's a little bit more branded as a company, like a team name or something where it's like you have more of a business name outside of just your personal name, then that's another great place. You know, you could use your Facebook page to create that as well. And then once you have that set up, that's when you would go to business.facebook.com to be able to set up your connection to like the ads manager and be able to run ads for that page. So yes, we are at that point. So we have our Facebook page. We're now running an ad, and we're going to get that set up. And by the way, if any of this is confusing, we're going to be going at a fairly quick pace through this. Feel free to connect after this webinar. You'll have this webinar, I believe, as a replay, so that you can go through that and slow it down if you need to. But also, you're going to be getting information to connect into the Facebook groups that we have available, the API Nation Facebook group, as well as likely my Real Estate Growth Hackers Facebook group. You can reach out anywhere that you see us, and I'd be glad to get you guys some more information and maybe slow some of this stuff down. But moving on for now, let's go ahead and dive into setting up this style of ad. I'm gonna take it literally point by point so that you guys could see what you're filling out on here and how it works. So the campaign name, I generally name the campaigns with the address in the name of the campaign. That's more just for organization's sake. People do not see the campaign name. That's just for you. So I would name this like 123 Main Street Property Promo, or Property Promo 123 Main Street, just as a way to keep it organized. This special ad category, this is something that I often miss it, and you'll know very quickly if you miss it, because your ad's going to be disapproved as soon as you do this kind of ad, because Facebook has set up a separate sort of set of guidelines for anything related to housing on Facebook, and you have to turn this on. There isn't a way around it. There's no reason why you want to try and get around it, because what it's going to do is it's going to get your Facebook account shut down if you try and get around it too much. So so definitely turn it on. Use it as it's designed. You click to turn it on here. You select housing as the type of ad that you're going to be running for this type of ad. Now, real quick background on that: if you are running ads that aren't related specifically to housing, like maybe you're promoting something going on in the community, or you're talking about something that isn't about real estate, which sometimes is worthwhile to do, then you don't have to turn on the housing ad. But as long as you're talking about homes, listings, properties for sale, open houses, anything like that, you have to turn the housing special ad category on. Then in our campaign details, buying type, auction is what we're looking for. And we're going to select this consideration lead generation here. And this is going to be what sets us up at the foundation for having this be a lead ad. And what's nice about this is it's all going to be integrated within Facebook. We're not going to have to build out a separate landing page. We're not going to have to use a bunch of other tools. We're going to be able to do everything that we need to within Facebook quickly, simply, easily, all tied together. So we're going to dive into that. For your budget, I recommend a minimum budget of about $5 a day. You can go higher than that successfully on these types of campaigns, but really it's a question of your goals and your needs. $5 a day is going to be a good minimum baseline to actually start seeing some leads come in. At this level of spend, I expect these campaigns to perform at anywhere from about $5 a lead up to $15 to $20 a lead, depending on the market and depending on a number of other factors, like how good your home photos are, and a few other things that impact how much people engage with that. So yeah, that fairly simple daily budget. I'm turning on campaign budget optimization. A lot of the reason why I do that right now, Facebook is going to be getting rid of other ways of managing your budget. So I'm just leaning into the way that Facebook is working on right now. So $5 a day daily budget should get you set. If you need to, you can change that to be lifetime budget, and then set that out to be, say you only want to run the ad for a week. So you could set your lifetime budget to be about $5 a day. So $35. Set your schedule and then run it that way. I tend to like to just run it as a daily budget at about $5 a day, and then just turn the ad off when I'm done. And that's fair, an easy enough way to do it as well. Any questions on that front so far? Feel free to drop them in. Gabe, do you have anything that you want to touch on?
No, that looked great. So you were saying at $5 a day, you expect the leads to cost about $5 a lead, or up to $15 to $20 a lead. In kind of a busy market. Okay, cool.
Yep. So I mean, a lot of what makes a difference, there's a number of factors that are going to make a difference on your lead cost. The property itself, some people respond to single family homes more than like condos. Some people respond to homes that look more like they're in their price range than homes that maybe look way to the luxury end. So what you're going to find is there's going to be a bit of variance in there, just based on the home itself, based on the quality of the photos. A lot of things make a difference on that front. But with all that being said, I tend to see them perform at about $5 to yes, about $20 a lead.
Perfect.
So yeah,
there's a question from Mary Ann Wilson.
Sure.
She was asking, she says her listing's going to contract within about 2 days. So how should she adjust her budget to kind of still generate those leads?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you can do a lot of this is going to be based on your local rules and regulations for how long and how often you can promote. One way to get around that is definitely to set these up as a coming soon promotion. So properties that you're going to be bringing on the market and then promoting them before they're fully on the market. The other thing that you can do is it is still potentially worthwhile to get inbound inquiries on a property that's under contract in case that falls out of escrow, and making sure that you have that you have some backup. Now, one other thing that I will mention, because sometimes I forget to talk about this. This style of campaign is not likely going to generate somebody who's going to buy that property. Okay, so keep that in mind. This style of campaign, it's not something that you're putting out saying, hey, I'm going to find the buyer for this property. It's something that you're putting out in order to find buyers in general, right? In order to find people who are looking for homes in general. You may occasionally find somebody who's like, yeah, this property is perfect. This is the first time I saw it. This is the first time I heard of it. And yes, I want to buy it. But more often than not, what you're going to do is you're going to get a lot of people in who are inquiring in general that you're going to help connect them to a different property. You're going to help connect them to something that's a perfect fit for them that isn't this property that you're putting. So keep that in mind. But yeah, in order to adjust for properties going under contract quickly, either doing a coming soon promotion or being just okay with the fact that generating leads on a property that's under contract is still a worthwhile thing. And again, all of that, I mean, you got to know your own local rules and regulations for how much you're able to do that and what's within your guidelines, because I know that varies from market to market for sure. But keep that in mind. Okay, cool. So continuing on, now I'm in the ad set level. So the ad set level is largely where you're going to think about who you're targeting. So who are the people that I'm going to be putting this ad in front of? There's a little bit about like where you're putting your ads, where the ad itself is going to be placed. And then historically, the ad set is also where your budget had been. So you could set your budgets at an ad set level. So in terms of how you think about it, it's largely the who and the where you're going to be placing your ads and who they're going to be shown to. So in here, you're going to select the Facebook page that you're going to be running the ads from. And in this case, I'm using example real estate team page, which I set up for demonstration purposes like this. And you might have some terms that you need to accept if this is your first time going through it. So go ahead and do that. We're going to ignore dynamic creative for now. We're not using a catalog, so I'm not putting anything in there. Budget and schedule. This is another place. If you set a daily budget, you can still come in here and set a schedule and set a start and end time, etc. So a lot of this just depends on how you want to run your math. Do you want to do it as a lifetime budget, or do you want to just know that this is about what I'll spend every day and then set your time? Or you could just leave it on indefinitely and then turn it off once you want to turn it off. Once the listing is sold, or maybe once you start seeing that the lead costs just start going up too much, that you get a good cost lead at the beginning, and then you start seeing those lead costs go up, and you're like, all right, it's time to turn it off. So that's a good way to think about that. Now for the audience, we're going to have a lot of limitations in our audience selection because we're doing a housing special audience style ad, but that's okay. The reality is every real estate agent has those same limitations. Everybody that you are competing with these style of campaigns has exactly the same limitations. So there's nothing that you need to do to get around this. There's nothing that you need to do to try and outsmart it. Just lean into it. We make these work. And actually, even before Facebook had these standards in here, this is largely the way that we are running these ads anyway. Just a really wide open targeting, really wide open location. That's part of what really has made it work well. So in terms of what you're going to do, though, under location, let me go ahead and click in to edit this. So what you're going to do is you're going to put in the city that you're running these ads in, and the city that you want to run to is most often the city where the listing is located, the area where the listing actually is housed. If you want to get people who are maybe looking to relocate to the area, the way that you can do that is you can come up here. This is what's going to be selected by default. People living in or recently in this location. That recently in this location is a good way for you to know that you can target the people who potentially were there looking homes, looking at the area, now starting to consider moving there, but aren't there currently. You could still target those people with these ads by using the recently in this location people living and recently. Most often I get my best results by just targeting the people who are already in that area. That's going to be your highest likelihood of people who are looking for homes in that area. But you can turn on recently in this location. Now, one other thing to keep in mind with this, if you live in like a very tourist heavy area, people recently in this location may open it up a bit too wide. When I was cutting my teeth in the real estate world, and learning this stuff, I lived in Las Vegas. People recently in Las Vegas includes tons of people who have no interest whatsoever in moving there. And so you keep that in mind. If you're in an area that has like a really large tourist population, I'm not sure if there are any other places in the US that are quite as large of a tourist population as Las Vegas, but that gives you a good kind of case study about it. Anyway, then you may not do the recently in this location because it may set it a bit too wide. It may drive your lead cost up. But in general, I like to select people living in this location. I put in the name of the city, and then the lowest you can go is a 15-mile radius. But again, what we've seen is that that's fine, and that works fine. We're not necessarily looking for people just interested in this property. We're looking for the general kind of people that we can serve, which tends to be people in about a 15-mile radius of a location. We tend to be able to serve and help those people find homes. So there we go. Same thing on the ages. We cannot adjust this anymore. And a lot of this, by the way, guys, is because of fair housing. This is why Facebook has implemented this stuff. So you're not able to segment that any further than 18 to 65. But let me put in perspective for you why that's a good thing, even on the ads. What we tend to see is that no matter people's age, and no matter whether they're interested in buying a property or able to buy a property right now, we get a lot of likes, we get a lot of comments, we get people tagging the people that they know who are looking to buy, who are looking to move to the area, and you very well might get your ad shown by the high school senior who's about to graduate, who knows that their parents are looking to move, and they tag their parents in order to actually see your ad and see what's going on. So don't be too worried about the age. It's going to be a little bit wider than maybe you would normally want it to be or think that you want it to be, but you're still going to be able to get good results. There's actually a few benefits to it. Same thing on gender. I have no idea why you'd want to target by a specific gender for homes, but you can't change it anyway. And then under detailed targeting, this is an area you can either have this or not. I found that even without throwing in more interest-based targeting, that you could still get really great results, just literally blanketing the whole city and having Facebook start to find you the people that are going to be interested in that ad and in that promotion. But here are some interests that you can add that start to indicate somebody is more likely looking at homes, looking for real estate in sort of that real estate market. So I think the first one, so it sorts these by alphabetically, but I think this is the one that I tend to add first. So if you type into here, and it's not going to work on mine because I've already added it, but if you type in here and you type in house hunting, there we go. It'll show you like a suggested interest that you can target. You can click on that and add that. And then from there, you can click into suggestions and you're going to start to see some of these other interests that you can add. Now, the key thing to keep in mind when you're adding these interests, you are looking for the things that somebody who's looking to buy would be interested in right now. Okay. You're not just looking in general for real estate interests. because that's very often going to get you a whole lot of real estate agents. You're looking for the things that specifically might signify that somebody is interested in buying a home. So they're a consumer looking for this stuff. So there's a few different interests that you could add in here, and these are additive, which means somebody can qualify for any of these interests and show up in this audience. Okay, so it's going to be people who are in Las Vegas who are also interested in any of these things. Okay, so first-time buyer is a good one. First-time home buyer grant, for sale by owner, homes.com, house hunting, mortgage loans. So again, if somebody's looking at mortgage loans, that's a good signal that they're probably starting to move into this real estate purchasing process. Pre-qualification, property finder, real estate investing. Real estate is one that I would play with. You could either throw it in there or pull it out. Having it in there likely gets you a decent amount of real estate agents. Residential area, single family detached home, starter home, Trulia and Zillow. And Trulia and Zillow similarly might get you a whole lot of real estate agents because by default they're going to be interacting on those sites more often. But there are ways to more specifically target real estate agents. By like Zillow Premier Agent, for instance, is something that only real estate agents or real estate professionals are going to be interested in. But we used to be able to exclude and actually remove people based on their interest or based on things, but that is something that's been removed with the special ad category. So we can't do that anymore. So there's no way around it. We're gonna have some real estate agents in here. We're gonna have some people in here that we don't want to. But even with that, these ads are still performing great. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. Languages, is that one that we can change? We might or might not be able to change. Yeah, I don't even think we can change it right now, but either way, I've never had to, and I've never been worried about it. So that kind of covers the main area on the who we're going to target. Any questions on that front so far?
There was just one from Titus. He was wondering about, this might be something we can cover a little bit more in broadly afterwards. Just, can he just throw a list of emails in there and create a custom audience to send this to?
Yeah, I've tried it both ways. You have to get a very large custom audience of emails in order for that to be successful. It probably a lot larger than you'd even expect because when you try and upload a list of emails, Facebook's only going to be able to match up a percentage of those. I've seen it be about 50% or less is what's normal. And so if you want a decent sized audience of, I'd say like a good minimum sized audience is somewhere, it depends on the ad that you're running, but about 5,000 at least is what I would want. You need to get about 10,000 emails. So if you're able to get that kind of list and you have that kind of list available, and further that list of emails is targeted around something meaningful, then yeah, you can make it work. But for something like this, I haven't ever found the need to, not for this style of ad. After the fact, if you're doing more direct, like retargeting style ads specific to a specific kind of person, then you can have smaller audiences and more targeted messaging, and that can work. But for this style ad, you don't really need to.
Got it.
Cool. But yeah, so anyway, hopefully that answers that question. Anything else on that front, or should I go ahead and move on to placements?
I said go for it.
Perfect. All right. So placements. Luckily, this is a fairly simple one right now. What I would start with is I would just lean on the automatic placements. Let Facebook figure it out for you. Facebook is getting fairly good at just automatically figuring out the best place where people are going to respond to what you're doing, especially since we set this campaign up to say we want leads. Facebook is going to do everything in its power to try and get you leads. And that includes making sure that they're putting it on the places that are most likely to get you leads. So that's what I tend to find. If you want to, if after you're running your ad and you sort of see, hey, I'm getting a lot of placements in places that aren't converting and a lot of my money's going there, then you can feel free to adjust into manual placements and start looking at like just being on the Facebook newsfeed, just being on mobile, those kinds. But again, most of the time, I'm able to get a lot of success automatic placements, which is nice because it means you don't have to think about it nearly as much. But yeah, so the key takeaway from that: start with automatic placements. If that's getting you great results, then if it's not broke, don't fix it. But if your lead costs are a bit higher than you're hoping for, then you can play with manual placements and see if you're able to eke out a bit of gains on your lead costs. And yeah, that pretty much covers placements. For optimization and delivery, there's not really anything that you need to change here. I don't recommend coming in and trying to change this up and changing for the cost control. What happens is Facebook will essentially re-gear your ad to try and get the cost that you're talking about, including trying to basically spending enough of your ad budget to increase your cost per lead until it reaches that cost if you would have been able to get lower cost per lead. So instead, I like to just see how the campaign itself is performing and leave it alone that way. This doesn't tend to be a way, from what I've seen, in order to get better lead costs. It's just a way to get more consistent lead costs. But at the downside of, you may be increasing your lead costs, and then further, you may only be like 10 cents off or $1 off from what Facebook can readily get you leads. And, you may be able to generate leads at $6 a lead, but you put $5 a lead in there, and Facebook's not going to keep running your ad if you're only getting, if it's only able to generate you $6 lead ads. So anyway, keep that in mind. But overall, fairly simple. So that's going to be your ad set. Again, that's where we're covering largely where we're showing the ad, who we're showing it to, that kind of information. It's the types of people and where they're going to see it. And that's what we're covering in there. So how's the under ads ad sets are going to be our ads themselves. So the ad is going to be your creative. It's the words and pictures and images that you're actually going to use for your ad. So let's go ahead and dive into that and what that looks like and how we set that up. So in here, this is going to be a fairly simple kind of ad. We're not doing a fairly simple campaign. We're not going to be running a whole lot of different variations of an ad, especially at the budget that we're looking at. There's not much that we could learn from running multiple variations of this ad. We would need to be spending more in order to actually get enough data to say, hey, does changing this word or does changing this copy or does changing this thing do better? So we're just going to keep it simple. We're running one ad within the ad set. You can name it whatever you want. If you're running multiple, then generally like the address plus plus whatever is unique about how you're running the ad. So if you're using a video versus using pictures, etc., you can mention that. So it might be 1234 Main Street video, 1234 Main Street carousel ad if you're doing like multiple, etc. That's how I tend to name them, just so that it's easy to see. In terms of identity, you're gonna make sure that this is selected to the Facebook page that you wanted to run. Sometimes Facebook changes where this is located. It's now by default located in the ad set, but it historically was in the ad itself. So you could change that around there. And then Instagram account, if you happen to have an actual Instagram account set up and connected into your Facebook business manager, you can select the Instagram account there. Otherwise, you could just say you selected page, and what Facebook will do is anytime it tries to run the ad on Instagram, it'll basically just create a duplicate of your Facebook page on Instagram for the sake of that ad. So if you're using Instagram, then great. Go ahead and tie it into this, and then you'll get seen on both platforms and toward the accounts that you actually use. If you're not using Instagram, don't worry about it. Just use the selected page, and you'll still be able to run on Instagram. And so then in terms of the style of ad, I'm going to show you how we would do a single image or video, and we're going to use a slideshow style video. I'm going to show you how we're going to set that up. So I'll show you that in just a second. After we get through some of the copy here. This is where you would add the video. Again, I'm going to show you that in a second. And then you can come in and edit specific placements if you want to. Nice thing about how we're setting this up is that I'm not really worried about it. We're going to keep most of the placements exactly the same all across the board. So fairly simple. But this here is an example of the kind of copy that we want to use. And there's a couple of things that I want to point out that are very specific and very important. So first and foremost, we aren't mentioning a few things. What we're not mentioning is some of the most important part of what makes these ads work. We're not mentioning the price. We're not mentioning the address. Okay, we're mentioning neither of those things. Here's why. You as an agent, if somebody came to you and said, hey, I want to buy a home, you're probably not going to turn them away if they're only wanting to buy the home that you're promoting, right? You're probably going to be able to say, I can help you buy a home. It doesn't matter if it's this listing, okay? So the same way we set up our ad so that our ad doesn't do the same thing. If you include the address, if you include the price, what you're gonna have people doing is they're gonna see the ad, they're gonna see the price point, they're gonna either say, oh, that's way below what I can afford, I don't need to inquire about this. Or that's way above what I can afford, I don't need to inquire about this. Or they're gonna look at the address and say, that's not in the area that I'm looking to live, I'm not going to inquire about this. Or that, that's basically what happens. But so we don't include the price or the location so that people don't disqualify themselves before becoming a lead. Okay, and in doing that, that makes turns the dial up so that we get a lot more leads because people aren't disqualifying themselves. Now, at the same time, if what you're looking for is to generate very clear, very specific, very qualified leads, then do include the price and do include the location, because then the only people who are going to inquire are going to be people who they at least personally think, I can afford that home and I'm cool with living in that area, right? So that's what you're going to see happen. So you can kind of play with that depending what your goals are. If you want more leads to be able to prospect and work with, then don't include the price and location. If you want less leads, but more clearly qualified leads for the specific home that you're promoting, then include the price and location. Now, note, that's going to increase your lead costs. Your cost per lead is going to go up the more you give people the opportunity to disqualify themselves, because it's not going to make a difference to Facebook. They're going to show the ad about the same amount of times as they would otherwise. And so they're just going to have to show it more in order to find the people who specifically are interested in that home. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
That's great.
So the basic building blocks for the ad itself, we have a quick little area that I tend to use a hashtag. You don't necessarily have to, but just listed, coming soon, property reduced or price reduced, great opportunity, whatever you want. Just something that's sort of a headline saying, hey, this is what we're talking about. And then I tend to have a line that gives us just a few of the quick ideas about that property. Maybe you list the top 3 features or the top feature that makes that home attractive. And then the very next line, we're giving our first call to action. So our call to action is fairly simple. We do it the same way every time. For price, location, and more photos, please click the button below to inquire about this home. As you can see, there's going to be down here, there's going to be a button that pops up. So when they see that, they'll be able to click that in order to go into our next step, which is our lead form. And then after that, we're going to have an area that has just more details about the home. You can include about as much information as you want, as long as we're not giving away the location or the price. So you could talk about, upgraded kitchen. You could talk about the type of flooring. You can talk about if it has a pool, if it doesn't have a pool, if it's a single story, 2-story, if it's a condo, if it's a high rise, whatever. You can include all that information in the features, list that out. I haven't seen it making a massive difference if it's a big block of text or a small block of text. Just feel free to include the details that are relevant in there. Very often what I do when I'm running these ads is I take just the property description that would be in the MLS. I copy and paste that, and then I go through it. I just double check and make sure that I'm not revealing the location or the price. And then that tends to be a good way to fill in that features section. And then finally, I'm leaving off with one more call to action so that after they've read through those features, I've got another area where I'm guiding them back into what I want them to do, which is fill out the form. So need more info about this home, click the button below to get all the details. So that's just another way for us to drive them into that lead form so that we're actually generating leads. For the headline area, which is going to be this little area right here, that's what Facebook refers to as the headline area. Instant access, price, location, and more pictures. That's a solid one. You can play with that a little bit, but the key idea is that the thing that people are looking for is they're looking for the price, they're looking for the location, and they're looking for more pictures. So we're putting those things up there in order to tell people that they can get that. And then for the description, which isn't showing up in this one, but if you're on the desktop view, sometimes that'll show up, and that's going to be just something simple like visit now to learn more, just something simple that pushes them into the lead form. I tend to use learn more as my button, but there are a few that can work. Yeah, learn more or sign up is kind of the best too, but learn more is the best option. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do instant form for the type. This is what ties them into our lead form so that we don't have to create a landing page. And then you're either going to create a lead form, you're going to duplicate a lead form, or you're going to select a lead form that you already created. So what I'm going to do right now, normally this one's technically the right one for this, so I would just normally select this because it's a lead form that is tied to this property, makes sense. But I want to show you guys how you could, like, what it looks like to set up these lead forms. So I'm going to go ahead and actually duplicate this one so that we can walk through what those lead forms look like and give you some quick ideas on that. So we'll let it pop up here.
And this is the form that anybody who clicks on the ad, they are going to, this is what they're going to be presented with so that they can send this information to you and you can follow up. Is that right? Okay.
Exactly. So so this is basically, if you're familiar with landing pages, this replaces landing page, right? This replaces the thing that you're using to collect the lead information. So there's a lot of benefits to this and a lot of reasons why we use the lead forms. One, it's a heck of a lot easier than trying to set up landing pages, depending on the tools that you have available. If you have a great tool for it, then great. You have a great tool for it and you can use it. But it's, for a lot of us who are just looking to get in, generate leads, have something quick, simple, easy, that works well, lead forms are great for that. Secondarily, because of the way these lead forms work, they actually automatically pull data from Facebook. So they pull the name, they pull the email, they pull the phone number that somebody has used to sign up into Facebook with. And that could be both. It could be a benefit and sometimes could be a detriment. It really depends. The benefit is that because it populates it automatically, you have people less likely to go in and put their email being mickeymouse@gmail.com. And instead it's an actual email that they're likely actually using. But the downside could be, I was just checking this out the other day. I've apparently been on since 2005. If I haven't updated my information, it could be old information, and even though it was accurate at the time, may not be accurate today. So you can run into issues on that way. I tend to find that it tends to shake out being a little bit more of an advantage than a disadvantage, though it is occasionally a disadvantage, if that makes sense. For sometimes the information's bad, but people can always update the information themselves. It's just if somebody doesn't have to, if they don't have to change it and it just automatically pulled in, they tend to just leave what's already there. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Perfect. So in here, you could change the name of the form to be whatever you want it to be. This is largely going to be for you. Again, feature property address itself is probably what you want to do for clarity on the back end for yourself. I tend to go with more volume in terms of what I select for this. So more volume, it says use a form that's quick to fill out and submit on a mobile device. So basically Facebook's saying they're making it easier. Higher intent adds a review step that gives people a chance to confirm their info. So this, if you're finding that the information is very inaccurate, you might add the higher intent just to make sure that more of the leads that you have coming through tend to be more qualified. I would start with more volume and then play with going for higher intent if you feel like you need to adjust after the fact. Under the intro section, we are going to, I feel like this doesn't pop up. Quite right until you select something else. And I forget exactly where it is, but there's there's a selection somewhere. We might find it as we're going through this further that says like use a welcome message or not. If you have that selected to no, then by default, it's going to use the image from the ad. But because of the type of ad that we're going to run, I want to choose the ad. I want to choose the image that's going to be tied to this form. And so the image that you're going to use is likely just whatever the best picture that represents the property, especially in relation to the ad that they just saw. So here I'm using like an exterior view of a property. You want the image that's in the background here definitely to match up to the images that they've seen in the ad, so that there's congruence, that they know that the thing that they click through and the thing that they're on right now connect and match up. So anyway, so I'm going to use an uploaded image. I'm going to upload an image of the property. That's going to serve as the background for the form itself. For the greeting, you're going to say something just fairly simple, get instant access to the property details. I mean, literally, you can, and here, I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm going to paste it in to the chat. This is something that you could literally just take and apply to all of the lead forms that you do, because we don't want this to be specific to the address yet. We don't want this to be specific to the property price yet, because we haven't gotten information. So it's all very, very general, very vague. You could just take that and use it. So for questions, we're going to ask for full name, email, and phone number. You can add more details into here. You can ask qualifying questions if you want to. The more you add into this, the less likely somebody's going to fill it out. And the less likely you're going to end up getting good information, and the less leads you're going to generate. So again, that same thing. We can play with the dial. We can say, do I want more qualified leads or do I want more leads? More leads means we ask for less information, but this tends to be the key information that we need: the name, email, phone number. Most of this is going to be pulled in dynamically. And then for the description, this is what I tend to use for that section just above the form. Get instant access to the price, location, and more photos for this property. Share your best info below. And that's what's going to be in there. You can drag and drop and rearrange these fields. I tend to like to have name, email, then phone number. For privacy, you can add a link to the privacy policy. Facebook wants you to have a link to a privacy policy. If you don't have a privacy policy, often, like if you don't have one yourself that that you created, if you have the website that either like your brokerage provided you, or if you have a website that's been built out, often you could just link back to that privacy policy and be solid. But I am not a lawyer. I don't even play one on TV. I 100% highly recommend that you reach out to a lawyer, get yourself a privacy policy that is going to keep you protected and safe and all of that. So there's a lot of ways that you can make this work, but definitely lean into doing it in a way that's going to keep you safe. And then the link text for this could just be like your brokerage name, or your name privacy policy, or you could just type in privacy policy. And you can see that's going to pop up right there as another link. Most people will never click through to this, but this is it's one of those things that we have to do in the days of I don't know. We have to have disclaimers for everything. You can add custom disclaimers as well if there's anything else that you need to add, maybe locally or maybe regulatory information that you need because of your local laws and stuff. And so then we're going to have our completion page, and our completion page is going to be awesome to see the property info. Continue below. Your info has been sent to, and then you're going to fill in your name there. Tap below to see the full property details, photos, and location for the property you just requested. Someone from our team will reach out to you shortly to see if you have any other questions we can help you with. And so let me go ahead and get those into there for you so that you can just steal them if you want. So that's going to be your final page. And then your call to action button is going to be a view website button. If you want to, you can do a download and do like so if you did a download, you have to change the text a little bit, but you can do a download and give people like a PDF. That's the property details. I tend to like to send them over to a website if I can. That website is just going to be the page where they can see all the pictures, all the property details, et cetera. It could be from your MLS. It could be a custom website that you have. Whatever it is, as long as you're delivering on the promise that you made, which is that by filling out this information, they are now going to be able to see more photos, the price, and the address, right? So as long as you're delivering on that promise, it could be a PDF, it could be a website, whatever it is, whatever you have available, feel free to leverage those things and send them that way. If you have a website that you could send them with, especially if you have like your Facebook pixel on there, that's definitely where I would recommend sending them. But use what you have and know that you can still generate leads with it. And then for the call to action text, I like to make that say, see the property pics and pricing. You only have so many characters available, so you got to keep it kind of simple. And again, the things that people want: pics, pricing, and they want comparatively. If they get to see the pricing and the pics, then they're pretty happy. And so that once you're done with that, you're going to click publish. what that's going to do is that is going to, save it into this form, save it into this ad so that when people click through, this is what pops up and what they end up filling out. Let me just double check this. Yeah, so we want, this is how I tend to want these settings. English is fine for the language. For sharing, if you want to be sure that that the people coming in off of these forms specifically came through your ad, then you could go to restricted. But I tend to set this to open, which means that if somebody shares the ad, somebody else who we didn't technically pay to get the ad in front of can still fill this out and become a lead for you. That's what I tend to want. You could change the field names if you want to. I don't recommend it unless you really have a great reason. And then you could add tracking parameters as well if you need to. This is going to be, if you're familiar with UTM fields, that's what it is. This is UTM fields that you can use for logging in your CRM. If you don't know what that is, don't even worry about it for now. learn about that later. But to start, but that's what that's for. And so in here, you can either save it as a draft and it'll save it, or you can click publish. And so I'm going to go ahead and click publish so that it goes through and it's ready. And then there you go. If you have a Facebook pixel, you go ahead and check that, select that. You can also add in URL parameters here as well. Once your ad is all good and live and ready, you're going to click publish. Facebook's going to review it. Once they review it, then it'll go live. Your ad will be out into the world, and generally within a day or so of running these, I tend to be able to generate a lead or two based on how good my cost per lead is at that point. So there you go. That's how you set it up. The next thing that we need to cover is the video. But are there any other questions about this process so far?
I didn't see any. Yeah.
Q&A. Awesome. What's the URL parameter? Yeah. So Michael, we did cover that. That's going to be UTM fields. It's something that you can ignore unless you know what that is and you know how to use it. You don't need to worry about it for now. So yeah. But if you know what UTM fields are, that's where you set them up. You set them up in there so that Facebook can generate them dynamically for you. Those leads that you generate off of these ads, let me show you where you're going to get them. And then pretty quickly here, we're going to transition into showing you how to make this all automatic so that you can actually do the most important part, which is following up with the leads and making that easy and not a pain in the neck. And we'll do that by connecting up the lead form through API Nation into BombBomb. But let me show you, if you wanted to go the manual way, then this is where you would go. So you're going to go to the Facebook page, and that's going to load up. And then you're going to click the publishing tools, which are still going to take forever to load up too, of course. But in the publishing tools, you will see that there is down around this area is going to be a section that says lead forms or lead ad forms. You're going to click on that, and then you'll be able to see it. So we'll see if this will actually load. I don't know. I may have to shoot like a follow-up video to actually show people how to do this part. But more importantly, we're going to show people how to do it automatically. So if you need the manual way, yeah, we'll follow up after the fact because this doesn't want to load. Yeah, neither does this. So I'll drop something off to Gabe's that in the follow-up, I'll give you guys a quick walkthrough, a quick video of how you set up the videos and where you go to get these manually if you need to get them manually. But otherwise, I think, yeah, so here we go. Lead ad forms, right there, you click on that. And then in here, there's going to be a button to download them. And yeah, so you can download any of the leads that come in as they come in. Oh, is it going to load? Is it going to load? Anyway, there's going to be a download button right there. It'll download a CSV with all the information that you collected. So you would need to download that, every day or as often as the leads come in. There you go. So you click download, that gives you the CSV. And then that gives you the information that you could then import into your CRM or whatnot. But we don't want to do it that way. We want it to be simple. We want it to be easy. We want it to be automated. So instead, we're going to use API Nation to do that. And then, yeah, I'll shoot a follow-up video about how to do those videos after the fact. So definitely stay tuned in your email where you will see that. But for now, I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to kick it back over to Gabe. Gabe, let's talk about how people get these into BombBomb using API Nation.